Are you there, brother?
Yeah, I'm there.
All right. Yeah, I've been podcasting for 76 years, and you know the difference between me and Joe Rogan. I don't manage it.
Oh man, yeah. Back then we was treated as dogs.
I was podcasting, spit flying on my cheeks because I had a terrible microphone that poked a hole in my cheeks here. You see? Oh man, so yeah, we dropped our episode that you were on. It's getting a good response already.
Yeah, listen to that.
It's getting a good response. The masses like it.
Good. Have you heard from Bill Conti at all?
No, because I actually looked at the email where his publicist / agent. I don't know which one it is. I said publicist on the show, but I don't know if it's an agent or a publicist. Which one deals with the scheduling?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think publicist. I think agent is more about getting him gigs and stuff or whatever.
Yeah, my podcast is not a gig. It's not a gig.
Yeah.
It's you're only going downhill when you go on my show.
Well, maybe it is. If they didn't check it out, they might think it's like...
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
Just below Joe Rogan, not quite there, but like in the same league.
See, I think that's what happened to Kevin Connolly. He probably listened to my show and backed out.
Man, you got to get Squarespace advertisements and shit on the podcast.
No.
Seems like every YouTuber and everyone can do Squarespace or Wealthsimple or Skillshare.
Right. Yeah, I just looked at the email here. His publicist said in 2 weeks, let's take a look at his schedule. And that was 10 days ago. So we're still looking almost mid next week before I kind of bug her again.
Then you'd be like, come November, you're mine.
I'm going to call Bill Conti. Bill Conti, whatever he calls himself.
Yeah. Call me Collect Bill. Just call me.
Well, they'll call me on Skype so I can record it properly.
Yes, yeah. Give me warning, okay? I got to set this shit up. I'm polite here.
So we don't have any new emails to read or any new reviews because at the time of this recording, when I told all of our listeners, you better leave me a review or leave us some sort of Skype call or something, that was just hours ago. So as of the record of this episode, we have nothing new to read to the fans. No emails, no nothing. Okay, so let's officially start the show. All right, here we go. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Going the Distance, the Rocky Series podcast. I am your host, Ryan. And again, we have special guest host, Kyle. Boy, don't get excited, Kyle. You'll never officially be the co-host. That means I would have to fire Ruben or Ruben will be dead. And I don't think either will happen soon.
Well, if it is, I'll make sure it looks like an accident.
Yeah. You know some people? Some people that work the docks?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know some rough people out in Victoria.
So, like we were saying in the intro of the show before we officially started, we have no new emails. Just a reminder to our listeners, if you want to email us and have your emails read on the show, the email address is gtdwithrr@gmail.com. You can also talk to me on Skype, Ryan Rebalkin, that's RYAN. REBALKIN. That's my Skype name, all put together, all lowercase. Find me on Skype. Leave us a message for the show to play. And lastly, review us on iTunes or on Facebook. It's as easy as that, and it gets our show going. And we always appreciate those listeners who come every week. Thank you, Kyle, again for coming this week. Let's just get right into it. Unless you have any Sly or Stallone news or any topics you want to get into, we can get right into talking Rocky 5.
I did see the trailer for the new Rambo movie. Yeah, I'm sure you saw it anyways, but that's the first time I saw it.
Oh, you just saw it recently? You just saw it recently?
Well, yeah, I wasn't looking for it on YouTube. I saw it at the theater.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
I was watching a different movie, and then the trailer came out.
What'd you think?
The horse stuff surprised me. Did see like he has like a ranch or something like that? I didn't see Rambo as a ranch guy, but I don't know. Well, otherwise, it looked okay.
Well, we know at the end of Rambo Part 4, or it's officially called Rambo, but the fourth movie in the Rambo series, Rambo, he went to his father's ranch. That was what was insinuated is that's his father's ranch, and so his father has passed. That's his family land, and I think he has taken upon himself kind of an adoptive family. I think he's brought a Mexican family, and that's who you see living there. And I think their daughter or granddaughter gets kidnapped by the Mexican cartel for the sex trade, or a friend of the family's daughter.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, one of the two.
I'm going to lose some cred with the listeners here, but I have not watched the recent, like the last like 2 Rambo movies.
You haven't seen part 3 and 4?
I've never been into Rambo that much.
No,
like I watched like the 1 and 2 when I was a kid, but so that's like the last ones I saw.
Oh wow. The thing about the Rambo films is very little continuity as far as character development goes. You can kind of watch any of them, really, and they have a standalone story. It's like James Bond in many of the James Bond films. You can kind of watch one with Roger Moore, one with Sean Connery, and one with Daniel Craig or Pierce Brosnan, and you can enjoy the movie for the most part with very little like character development or
Sure.
like yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so of course there's Troutman's characters in the first 3. And then the actor died in real life. But for part 4, there, Kyle, the last scene in the movie is him going to the ranch, and then it ends the movie with the idea that the series, of course, we thought at that time was over, that he is going to live the rest of his days back in America at his father's ranch. So he's a ranch hand by nature.
Okay, so that does make perfect sense then. So my commentary is completely useless.
No, that's fine. Well, you know what? You're probably not the only listener who either hasn't seen the latest Rambo film and or knows the Rambo series. Just because Sly's in both, not everyone is a Rocky fan that's a Rambo fan, and vice versa. I've had people who are aware of my page that are going to probably be excited when we roll into the Rambo films. There are people who only like the Rambo films who don't like the Rocky films, so not everyone likes both.
Yeah, and to be honest, like Sylvester Stallone is an actor and stuff I'm fine with, but I'm not like a huge Sly fan as much as I'm a Rocky fan. Like I really like the Rocky character and the Rocky storylines. Like if a new Sly movie comes out, I'm not guaranteed to go watch that.
And again, that's fair. We have those listeners too that I've heard through comments and emails who have said those very words, that they're Rocky fans, that they're the character. And that goes for any series. Like if you're a Star Wars fan, are you a Mark Hamill fan?
Yeah, that's right.
Some people are. Like some people became Mark Hamill fanatics. Like they'll follow whatever his career has been since the Star Wars film. They follow it religiously. And I think Stallone has done the same thing with his career. He's definitely has lifelong fans, and myself is one of them, where I've followed his career due to the success and the enjoyment of the Rocky films. It's both been a blessing and a hindrance to Sly, because very few of his movies have. It just shows you how awesome the Rocky character is, that not every film that he has done kind of not just critically successful, but just emotionally or otherwise successful. That being said, the Rambo 5, it looks good. I think it looks like a fun action romp, and apparently it's going to be pretty dark. It's going to be pretty gritty. The 4th one was considered pretty brutal, but I've even heard rumors that this one might be even more brutal. Do you think he dies?
No, I think Sly always likes to have the option of doing another film, even if he says that he won't. It's just like how he didn't die in Rocky 5, even though that might have been on the table when they were writing the story. I just don't think he has it in him to kill an iconic character like Rocky Balboa or Rambo.
That's fair.
But I could be wrong. Prove me wrong.
The character doesn't die in Part 5. I hope the storytelling is enough that it warrants that. I think it would be a brave choice to kill the character.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I think just the way movies are made now, though, it's like there's always so many sequels. And from a pure money-making perspective, killing a character like that rarely makes sense.
Right.
Even though from an artistic perspective it can. It might upset some fans, but you could probably have a pretty solid, dramatic, memorable ending and kind of take the movie to the next level if you kill the character. But then it's like, oh, well, the revenue stream for next movie isn't possible, so we can't do that.
Eventually, the movies have to end. I love Sly, but there has to be an end to a series. Is he going to do Rambo?
You can't have 90-year-old Rambo, or can you?
No,
I don't
no,
know.
no. You can't. Let's be honest here.
Senior citizen action heroes are beginning to crop up. For example, if you follow the show Better Call Saul,
It's on my watch list.
okay. Well, there's a character. He's also. Did you watch Breaking Bad?
Yes, yes. And I think I know which character you're
Okay.
talking
Well, you
about.
know Mike, right?
Yeah,
It's like the older guy, Mike.
yeah.
Okay. Well, Mike Ehrmantraut in Better Call Saul is in quite a few action scenes, and there's some of the, in my opinion, better scenes of the series. I really like Better Call Saul, anyways.
Right.
But like Mike kicks some serious ass, and he's like in his 70s, and like he looks really old.
Right.
So
yeah, he looked old in Breaking Bad.
yeah, I don't know how society's aging. Maybe standards for action heroes will likewise age.
Well, we know that there's a new Indiana Jones film that's supposed to come out 2021 maybe, and Harrison Ford would be close to 80 at that point.
Is he getting that old? He looks great.
He looks pretty good for his age, yeah.
Yeah. Like, it makes sense because he was not really that young in the Star Wars movies.
Isn't it funny, Kyle, when you see actors in film roles where they are younger than you are as you watch them, that they still look older than you?
I think this came up in the earlier episodes of the podcast too. Like when you see Paulie and he's like not 40.
Yeah, well, Rocky 1. Yeah, Rocky 1, Burt Young is 36.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm 35. So
right.
it's like, you could look at me and look at him.
And he still
and
looks...
be like, okay, well, that guy clearly looks older.
I'm 43. I'm 7 years older than Burt Young in Rocky 1. If you cast me and him the same timeline, we look 20 years dead.
I think there's a couple reasons for that.
Okay.
One reason is you and I look generally young for our age, kind of have baby faces, especially compared to someone like Burt Young, like someone with like Italian background.
Right.
So that's one reason. I think another reason is the person is aged due to the fact that you see them in the dress and style and everything of like an earlier era. Plus, the first time you ever saw that person was when you were a little kid, and so that's when your image of them was formed in your head. So, like, it's weird. I'll think back to my parents. Like, I can remember my parents when they were my age now, and they seem so much older than me. Although, if I met them and never had known them, I probably wouldn't have thought that.
Right. It is just weird when you see people. Like, I've seen pictures of my dad when he was 20 years younger than I am now, and he still looks older than a 23-year-old.
Yeah.
It's weird.
People aged a little faster, maybe, too. Who knows?
Maybe. Yeah.
Well, plus, it's like, I don't know what Burt Young was like, too, but, like, if you drink and smoke a lot, that ages you for sure.
I think Burt Young definitely has... he didn't have to dig in deep to play an alcoholic.
I know nothing about him, really. I know a little bit about him. I didn't know if he had a drinking problem in real life, but...
Well, I don't know if it's a problem.
Right? So,
yeah, I don't want to say it's a problem because I don't want slander. I'm just saying he probably knows what it feels like to have a few drinks in him. All right, so let's go. You ready? Now, we left off in Rocky 5 with Rocky Jr. telling his dad that he got the coat back. The dad, Rocky, was like, "Oh, yo, go tell your mom it's beautiful, man. She likes those sort of stuff, you know." Robert's pretty dejected that he didn't get the accolades and the love from his father that he was hoping to get from, fighting and getting the jacket back. And that's where we last left off. Any last thoughts on that before we transit into the next scene?
like, if I look back at my life, one thing I can say is that I've always known my dad's been proud of me, for better or for worse.
Oh, that's nice.
And so I have a hard time relating to Robert. I think his dad isn't disappointed with him necessarily, but he isn't really that proud of him. Like, even when he does something like that, it's hard for me to imagine the hurt he must feel there, but just kind of logically thinking, like, that would really embitter a person, if that's even a word.
I think it is a word, and I think that did happen to Robert, as we've seen in Rocky Part 6 and in the Creed franchise, that their relationship, even though it kind of looks like it ends well in Rocky 5, we see that the echo effect of these years definitely transited into the adult life of never really quite connecting.
It seems like with me and with other people, often one parent that you relate to and are a little closer to than the other. I would say that Robert probably is much closer to his mom.
Yeah.
He's probably more like her, and he relates to her, and they kind of get each other. I think him and his dad just don't. And, unfortunately for him, his mom passed away fairly early in his life. And so that probably strained things even further with his dad.
I don't get it, son. What do you see in your mother? I don't get it. I know. She's got gaps. I got gaps. Oh, that's terrible. We just took a erotica turn. All right. Now I believe, Kyle, we are going into another montage. Can you believe it?
I can't think of what it is.
I know.
I'm sure I'll know it as soon.
Here we go. It's another montage. I believe this is the montage that shows the seduction and decline of Tommy Gunn.
Oh, right. Okay.
You have a chance at that?
Absolutely. You kid. Hey, Tommy, anybody's got 2 fists, right? And a good heartbeat. You got a chance, right?
So we mentioned on our last show that we thought that previous montage, the Go For montage song, this is a new song here playing now, was Tommy knocking out the last guy before he got a chance to Union King. But we just saw the scene there where Tommy asks Rocky, hey, do you think I got a chance at Union King there? Because Union King is now the champion of the world. And Rocky, his response to that wasn't that great.
It was terrible, actually. I don't think Rocky intended it to be that way. But yeah, when he says, well, anyone with 2 fists and a heartbeat has a chance, that doesn't give you any confidence whatsoever, right? Because in reality, no, not everyone with 2 fists and a heartbeat has a chance to become the heavyweight champion of the world. For example, I've never boxed before. If I decided to start my boxing career right now, I can tell you with absolute certainty I would not become the heavyweight champion of the world.
No, you wouldn't, Kyle. Neither would I. I step in the ring with any fighter who's got any kind of training. I'm dead.
Sure, yeah. That level, the highest level. Not only do you have to work hard, but you have to be incredibly talented and an athletic person. Instead of saying, Tommy, you have the heart to do this, you have the tools, as they would say. It's kind of like, well, I guess anyone could beat him if they guess they have a chance, like a puncher's chance.
Yeah, that was a really, again,
I don't know.
This is a really weirdly written scene where it didn't have to be. I mean, Sylvester Stallone wrote this movie, and so unfortunately, anything that's badly written here, I'm going to have to throw at his feet. The question that Tommy asked was actually a fair question. He's kind of gauging his manager / trainer, saying, look, here's the champion of the world, Union King. Now, we know that Union King, as we talked before, was a kind of a paper champion. We don't quite know how gritty he is, how tough he is. But Rocky has seen his prodigy throughout these last, 12, 13 fights, working his way up the ladder. He's going to have an opinion about Tommy's chances against this guy, and we can see Tommy on the screen as a viewer. This is a big boy. He punches with a lot of power. I don't know why Sly didn't write it into even a slightly less real-world conversation between the manager and the boxer. He should have said something to the effect, absolutely, this is what we're training for. I mean, at the end of the day, we're gonna do all that we can. We're gonna fight the good fight. We're going to go out and take what we can, eye the tiger, whatever it is that he needs to. You got to tell your student, like, not only do you have a chance, but that's what we're working for. That's the goal, man. Is that where you want to go? And we got training to do. We got some hard work to do. Let's put some hustle behind that muscle. Let's put money where that mouth is, Tommy, and we're going to get you there. Instead of saying,
okay,
Paulie could fight him.
Yeah. Now, this is the thing, though. I don't disagree with any of that. I think everything you just said was absolutely true. However, that is predicated on the idea that Rocky is a good manager. And I don't know if Stallone wrote in Rocky being a good manager. I think Rocky, this is his first time managing. He's never had to motivate other people. I don't think he has the skill sets to be that manager. He doesn't know what the proper response should be. So yeah, his response definitely was not the right response. I can't see really any reasonable person saying, oh, actually that really would be the best thing to say. Like, if you look at Rocky, he's never been a really cocky fighter that thinks he's got to own someone, except for maybe the time where he was about to fight Clubber Lang. And then that went poorly, right? The first film, in the
Right.
press conference. Rocky, do you think you have a chance against Rocky? He's like, oh, I don't know. Creed's the best, and I'll just have to do the best I can. Like, I don't think he's really had that mindset of like, yeah, I could do this. I could beat this guy. I think in his mindset is like, I'm a ham and egger, but if I go in there and I can take the shots, I have a chance. In that sense, you can kind of see why he would give Tommy that advice, even though it's not really the best advice.
It's not even advice. It's just saying Robert Jr. can fight Union King. Not only just such an odd piece of dialogue, but yeah, I guess maybe you're right. Maybe it's just that smart of dialogue on Sly's part that he's saying or showing that Rocky himself is just that bad of a manager that he doesn't even know how to say the right thing in that moment. That could very well be it.
I think Rocky's view, too, all you really need is the desire to do something, and you can basically will yourself into doing it. As long as you can physically box to some degree, which I think is his way, the way he says, like, if you have two hands and a heartbeat, like, unless you're, like, disabled or something, if you can step into the ring and fight, then if you have the will to do it, you can. And I think that's kind of been his mantra all along.
If you got a desire, if you got the eye of the tiger, imagine they threw that in. I don't know why Sly didn't draw from. He kind of did in the Creed films a little bit more. They drew from nostalgia, but this is a franchise. Other franchises like Star Wars and Harry Potter, they totally draw from the previous films. These films oddly don't draw from each other more than they should. He should just say something like, you know, man, Apollo taught me to have the eye of the tiger, and this is a principle I want to teach to you. Like, and then the fans are like, yeah, eye of the tiger, Rocky 3. I don't know why it was always avoided, and Mickey was never even spoken about in Rocky 4, for example.
I didn't think about that, but you're right. I'm pretty sure Mick was completely left out of Rocky 4 in every conceivable way.
It's insane to me. But yeah, if he did say it, I don't remember him once saying the word Mickey. That would have been a good time for, like, Adrian on the stairs. Instead of saying, you can't win, Rocky, she could have said something, what would Mickey do? What would Mickey's advice be to you at this point, Rocky?
Yeah, that would have been good.
I think that would have been a better scene. What would Mickey say in this situation? And then he goes, you don't want to talk about Mick right now.
Imagine what Mickey would have said about Ivan Drago, actually.
Oh, you gotta be crazy kidding on the ring with that monster. He's a doped up.
Yeah, exactly.
Rock, I'm not gonna lie to you. Drago's wife can knock your block off.
Yeah, exactly. They're animals.
Those Russians. You want World War III? Well, you gotta have it in the ring, Rock.
I think you really know the spirit of Mickey.
Thank you. It just comes through me, but the idea that Mickey, yeah, he would have instead of like slapping him, he would have Rocky would have come home from his drive in the Lamborghini, and then he would have dropped from the stairs above Rocky like a 2-ton or sort of like a 20-pound dumbbell into Rocky's head. Yo, Mick, what was that for? Yeah, you would have seen that coming. That's what Drago would do to you in the ring, Rock.
That's one of his jabs, Rock.
Yeah. All right, so let's move in. So now we're seeing kind of the angry Tommy. So Tommy's winning matches in this montage with the music going. We'll just kind of describe scenes as they move along here. But we're going to kind of see Tommy still moving up the ranks, leveling people. But we're going to start seeing Duke getting into Tommy's ear, and we'll talk about how those scenes play out. Now, there's a scene here where we see Union Kane and Washington Duke outside the ring watching Tommy knock out an opponent, and Union Kane is talking into Duke's ear, and Union Kane, the champion, the paper champion right now, what's he saying to Duke? Are they in on it together to get this guy in the ring with him? Is Union Kane wanting Tommy to fight him?
Well, yeah, I think so. I think Union Kane's probably a little worried if he's not a complete idiot. Sometimes, even if you're worried about someone, you'll talk smack about them anyways. Like, you'll be like, oh, he sucks, or he should have done this or that, or maybe even criticizing the opponent. Like, this guy's a bum that he's fighting or whatever. Like, he's probably just saying stuff like that. But I quite firmly believe that Union Kane is a total pawn in this.
Yeah,
Because
so
if
he's
not,
unaware.
He doesn't really stand to benefit. The real thing they're trying to do is to get Tommy Gunn and Rocky in the ring. And for that to happen, Union Kane has to get beat.
Okay, so Union Kane himself is unaware of his own part in this.
Oh, totally. He's an idiot. So you don't see anything about him in this movie that appears that he's smart. Like, he just says some stupid thing into a microphone at the beginning, or
Yeah, it's terrible.
Duke shuts him up. He's just some hothead brute. Probably a half-decent boxer.
All right, so we can agree that Union King is not only a pawn, but he's a bit of a putz.
Yeah, and I'd say he's not a bad boxer necessarily. I'm trying to think of a heavyweight that would even compare him to.
I would say he's not that great of a boxer because Tommy Gunn made mincemeat out of him. Not to jump too far ahead, but he rolled over him like a Siberian Express.
Well, I think Tommy's actually was a good boxer, though. Like, I think he's a talented, good fighter. Tommy, honestly, reminds me a little bit of like a Mike Tyson kind of boxer who just is really powerful and just floors people.
Yeah, he's White Tyson.
But, yes, he's White Tyson. The thing about Tyson is he never really fought any particularly elite boxer while Tyson was in his prime. Like, he knocked out really good fighters. I'm not saying he fought like bums or whatever. You know, the decade before him was a much higher level of boxing. I think Tommy's kind of in the same vein here, and same with Union King. Like, they're decent boxers. They're not the Apollo Creed, Rocky Balboa, Clubber Lang levels of boxing. And Sly, I really think, influenced by the boxers of his time. Most of the characters in the early films, you could find a comparable fighter in real life. And this one was done in 1990, where Mike Tyson was the champion of the world. And so I would not be surprised if Mike Tyson was someone who Rocky loosely patterned Tommy Gunn after.
Agreed. Couldn't say it better myself. Sly does definitely draw from the boxers of his time. So he's White Tyson.
Yeah, we're going to call him White Tyson. We might be called racists. I don't know.
Oh, it's so stupid. Yeah. We just whitewashed Mike Tyson's whole career.
I'm not saying it's justified. Yeah. Just saying, like, I have nothing against Mike Tyson as a boxer, by the way. I'm not saying he's a bad boxer. Like, I think he's one of the better heavyweights ever. If you look at Ring Magazine and some other organizations that have rated the top boxers of all time, Mike Tyson's usually not. He's definitely not in the top 5. Maybe he's in the top 10, but he's down there a bit. So he's good, but not the absolute high level.
Right. It just depends of who he was facing at the time. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's go. So there's a scene here, Kyle, of Tommy Gunn practicing popping bubbles as he boxes. Any thoughts on this strategy?
It is a little silly looking. Especially seeing Sly blow bubbles to him. Bubbles are very slow-moving targets and not elusive. Like, I think it's a really bizarre drill. What do I know?
Name the movie sequence where bubbles were last seen in a training sequence.
Okay, it would be Rocky 3 when he was training in that house of ill repute. And then Mick was annoyed by some bubbles, I think.
So the character Burgess Meredith playing Mickey goes to shoo a bubble out of the way, and the ADR recording has the bubble make the bubble popping sound, but in the film the bubble didn't pop.
Was that right? I never got that.
Yeah, so you hit the pop of the bubble. Like, you know, they put this in after the film's been filmed, but in the film itself the bubble just gets moved out of the way. Burgess Meredith couldn't pop the bubble. I love that sequence. This is when you know you've seen the movie too many times, when you start to see that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that is a sign for sure.
So we got Rocky, blowing bubbles to Tommy. That's a really odd training regime.
And he does not do that with Adonis Creed. He's ironing out the managing kinks here with Tommy.
Yeah, can you imagine in Creed 2, that great desert training sequence, Rocky pulls out the bubbles?
Yeah, that would be weird.
He pulls out the bubbles, after like the tire sequence, all that stuff that Adonis is doing out there. He collapses on the pavement. Imagine that sequence where he collapses on the pavement. Rocky gets out of the car and starts blowing bubbles onto him while he's lying on the pavement.
That would have made that a made-for-TV movie.
Yes. Okay, so the next sequence here, we got Tommy in the ring again, just going through opponents. This is what, number 12, 13? I've lost count. He's just knocking these guys out like they're nothing. And we got fans now. We got this girl, blonde-haired hottie in the crowd. Tommy, I love you. And she goes, go.
Yeah. Getting popular with the ladies.
Getting popular with the ladies. And he's kissing a fan at the side of the ring here, or an autograph signing. The girls are just swarming around him.
So this is a little bit like Rocky's, when you mentioned actually the bubble training.
Mm-hmm.
He might be getting a little bit like this. Like it's kind of insinuating that the fame's starting to get to his head.
That's what we're seeing here, is that the fame's getting into Tommy's head. Rocky is not impressed with this. So they're at the gym, looks like, because there's a punching bag next to Rocky here. He's got his hair coming a lot of the hat here. You see that?
Yeah.
And this is also paying tribute again to Rocky through his training, when Rocky was training at House of Ill Repute, and that girl kisses Rocky on the stationary bike, and the actress that kissed him was actually his wife in real life at the time.
Is that
Sasha?
What's her name? Zach?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, Rocky is a nice person. I think to be a manager, that's not the best quality all the time. For instance, when Rocky first started training, Mickey nipped this in the bud. Like when those two women came in to get his autograph.
Yep. Get your chicken asses out of here.
Yeah. No, I'd never heard Rocky tell Tommy that women weaken legs.
That's what I mean. That would have been the perfect sequence right here. So we got Tommy kissing and hugging the girls in the training room or whatever in Mick's gym, and Rocky's like, there was a time that he could be even awkward about it. Just you got to stay away from the dames because women weaken legs. Mickey always said. Funny enough, that would be something Mickey did say instead of all these other things that apparently Mickey said, but we never heard in the film.
That is a great point.
Again, play to the films that the fans know.
Yeah, and this is kind of where, as much as I've praised Rocky V as being better than what it is often perceived to be, I think that is one of its biggest flaws. Is that, like, you have almost a mythical Mickey, like a Mickey that doesn't really comport to the one we know in the series, even though that earlier scene with him was probably one of the better scenes of the movie.
Right.
You fail to capitalize on so many opportunities to reference the other movies. And, for instance, the Rocky Balboa film and the Creed films, that's their bread and butter, is the Rocky nostalgia. And frankly, that's why people watch them.
Right. Agreed.
That's what gets people in the door. Now, they still have to be good films in their own right.
Right.
But, like, that Rocky nostalgia is absolutely essential. Even though they're going back to the old neighborhood and there's some nostalgia there, they could have gracefully put some in for sure. And
we see here with the training, this montage that's continuing. So this is definitely happening in Mick's gym. These girls are actually watching Tommy train. I don't think I've ever really caught that.
Yeah, they should not be allowed to.
No, they're taking photos and everything. And
and like in real life, boxers do sometimes have the press come in to watch them train. It's not really a legit training session. Like It is, they know the press is going to be there. They do some stuff for the cameras. And then when they leave, they get back to the actual training.
That's right. So the girls are watching Tommy do sit-ups, and he's doing these this can't be good for your back. He's going outside the ring, bending his back backwards, doing these sit-ups over the ring.
Now that is an homage to the previous Rocky films. He did that too.
Did he do that one I think that was Rocky 2.
Yeah.
It was Rocky 2 then, because he didn't do that in Rocky 4, because Rocky 4 was complete, like, free body. It was his legs that were over the edge.
Yeah. Rocky 4 kind of took that to a totally different level. Earlier Rocky movies, and I think it was 2, but I have a feeling 1, they might have had a little bit of that in 1, but I'm not sure.
Maybe they did.
They get really close up, and you could see his face as he's doing it. And you could see how like really sweaty he is, and like you can see how far down he goes. Like they do a shot like directly behind him, as opposed to Tommy there when you see it from the side.
So he's in the ring again. This is now being filmed on ESPN, by the way. So we have an ESPN cameraman in the ring there, ringside.
Yeah, he's getting big time.
All right, so more magazine cutouts are coming. So this is Boxing Limited or whatever magazine. The cover has Tommy Gunn on the front, and it says, of course, Balboa's Bomber. Watch out, Union Cane. Here comes Tommy Gunn. So his name is making the prints now.
Well, yes, his name is making the small print, and Rocky's name is making the big print. It's almost like the media is in cahoots with George Washington Duke to cause resentment between Tommy Gunn and Rocky Balboa.
And we know it's not the media, it's the writer of the film. forcing this
Of
world.
course, I know.
It's forcing this world to happen. And I nothing against Sly, but a smarter writing would just let the natural events take place and have the boxing cover magazine. Sorry, the cover of the boxing magazine just be natural and say Tommy Gunn is chasing after Union Kane, and then the small print would be Rocky Balboa should be proud of his protege or something like that.
Yeah, like I'm trying to think of like an alternate way where a rift can form between them that's like a little more natural. This does skip ahead a bit, but I believe Duke says he kind of took over the managing part. Says like, look, if you want Rocky to train you, that's fine. Like, no big deal. If it was anyone but Duke, then I'd be like, yeah, that's actually a great idea.
Right.
Like, Rocky's probably fine with the training aspect. It's just like the actual managing boxing is where he has no idea.
Right. No, I totally agree. In reality, you're right. He should have just focused on training and had somebody else do the managing. But Duke is corrupt, of course, so that doesn't work.
Yeah, it'd be like if Tommy had like a rift with like Rocky's family or something, and that's why they split up. Say he said something to Adrian or to Robert or whatever, then you have split that way. But then again, Duke isn't really the villain in that case, so I don't know. It is tricky.
So this next boxing match, Kyle, takes place at an even bigger arena because we have an ESPN again sponsored match. This looks like it's maybe a pay-per-view event or something. So Tommy's definitely on the rise.
No question.
All right, so here we go. George Washington Duke has literally stepped into the ring after Tommy Gunn's victory to sell himself to Tommy, saying, hey, look, I want to introduce you to somebody. We'll talk about it in just a second, but I just want to play back and have it play through.
I want to introduce somebody. Ring the bell, build the vibration, straight to the kill for best stimulation. Calculation for the censor, wasn't at the end.
George Washington Duke comes in and he says, you got hands of gold. I want to introduce you to somebody. Sherry, come in here. And we have this girl, this redheaded woman who's very buxomy.
Oh, she certainly does. Duke knows the primal urges of a young man and knows that he just has to get a lovely young woman out. Yeah, that'll distract Tommy right away.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Duke's very smart.
And Merlin, Duke's little sidekick here, he's there too. Sherry, I think is her name in the film. She's there with Rocky, and they'll take this victory photo together all of a sudden. They just literally insert themselves into the Tommy Gunn camp in one fell swoop.
And you know, Rocky by nature is not a very assertive person. You actually see Rocky get verbally abused by people throughout the films. There was an exception in Rocky Balboa. Generally speaking, he's actually a fairly timid person outside the ring.
Mm-hmm.
These schmoozy, salesy type people, these, scumbags, basically, they step right in, and Rocky just does not have the gumption to tell them to f*** off.
Nope, that's fair. This is the undoing of the Tommy Gunn camp here. See if I can pause it on the magazine cover standby. It says here, Balboa's boy undefeated. Destined for showdown with Union Kane. So there you go. The presses are really making this match
I wonder
happen.
if Union Kane's taking any fights.
I think we're on the same page there, Kyle. I think what's happened here is Union Kane, I think they're purposely not making him defend his title till Tommy challenges it. I think Union Kane wins the title and they kind of put him on permanent rest, maybe some training, but they want Tommy to come in hungry and Union Kane to be... I think their hope is that Union Kane doesn't have any kind of prowess that could knock out Tommy. They're probably not letting Union fight anyone else.
Yeah, probably. And if they do, then it's probably like they're handpicked.
I was just gonna say, those weren't real fighters. They were handpicked. They weren't handpicked.
No, he said that. Are they sit-ups? He said,
That's right.
They weren't sit-ups.
That's right.
They're good fighters, but not killers like this guy.
Yeah, oh man, that's such a great scene. So George Washington Duke, Buxamy, Sherry, and Merlin insert themselves into the Tommy Gunn camp, take a photo, and then on the side of the ring we've got Jimmy / Mike and Paulie looking up at Rocky, and Paulie is very aware of the what's happening here, and Paulie's got a look on his face like, Rocky, you have got to stop this. Do you not see what's happening here?
Okay, I have an idea. This might be out there a bit, Paulie should manage Tommy. Paulie should be put in charge, and Rocky just does training.
That would have made sense. Yeah.
I know it's Paulie, right? Paulie is surprisingly savvy throughout many of the films. Like, he knows what's happening. He's the kind of guy who would go out and get him endorsements. He would like do all this stuff. He might need someone to consult with in terms of picking opponents to fight or whatever. But yeah, Paulie should have definitely taken a bigger role than just holding like a spit bucket.
Yeah, he's part of the Tommy Gunn machine. He doesn't have a managing role. He's kind of just, he's there with the equipment and stuff like that. So now we have another fighter going down. And another fighter going down. So this montage continues to show how many people Tommy has to climb through to get that championship. Another one, Kyle.
Yeah, you should have like at least 20 or so fights under your belt before you go for the championship.
We see a scene here of Robert Jr. watching Tommy Gunn and his dad on TV. And he doesn't seem too impressed by the progress of Tommy and his father.
Yeah, no kidding. And this is the first time you see Robert after the coat incident. So he's probably been stewing for a while.
Then we have a little funny sequence here. Not funny, but a little bit... It's kind of disheartening because we know what happens to Tommy. Talk about iconic parts of the films. We've already seen the Rocky steps happen. That happened in the previous montage. And Tommy Gunn does a cartwheel and says, yeah, I did it. I beat Rocky up the steps. Now we have another iconic scene of... What's this called again? The Italian Market Alley? Or what's it called?
I'm sure if any of our listeners are from or familiar with Philadelphia, like if they live by there or in there, they could tell you. And I'm sure you can Google it, but I don't know offhand.
But everyone knows what we're talking about. That Italian Market Alley, the famous run that Rocky does in parts 1 and 2.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's in South Philly. Maybe not.
And here we have Tommy and Rocky right next to each other. Of course, the crowds are cheering them on. Do you notice what they're wearing on top of their heads?
Well, it looks like Rocky has the hat on his head, like as a beanie, or as if you're from Canada, a toque.
That's Tommy's beanie.
Yeah, exactly. And Tommy's wearing Rocky's
iconic
hat. That is
that iconic hat, and his sunglasses. That's Rocky's sunglasses that covered up his big black eyes from the Drago fight.
Oh yeah.
So more girls are attacking Tommy as he runs through the Italian market.
Which had never happened to Rocky. Rocky didn't have that much female attention, I don't think.
Well, no, because he wasn't single. He was never single when he was famous. He never got to do the... I wonder if Rocky would even have any game with the ladies had he been single. Had he never met Adrian but still fought Apollo?
If he never met Adrian and still fought Apollo, he could get laid if he wants to. But I think it would be like simply because... he was champion. He's not a bad-looking guy or anything, but yeah, he's kind of awkward and he's not smooth with the ladies. That's not who he is. I relate to that.
and that's why he got a girl like Adrian. I don't mean like, but she's shy and
Adrian's a hidden gem. She was the best possible person for him. Like, he really lucked out.
So we got a sequence here of Adrian working at the pet store with Gloria. Talk about a callback. She's wearing her glasses from part 1.
Was that earlier in the film where they found those?
Yeah, they found them in the attic. People keep their stuff, and so they kept some of their old clothes from the day, and Rocky's pulling it out. It's like, oh, it still fits. The hat and the gloves without the fingers, and he gives Adrian the glasses, and he's like, oh, you remember these things when I took them off your face and shagged you? But why is she wearing them? In the real world, would you wear glasses that were 15 years old when you probably have had other pairs since you lost those ones, especially when you're multimillionaires?
Because your prescription changes. Those glasses are not suited for you anymore. Like, you don't have glasses, do you?
I do wear glasses. Just for driving and stuff and when I watch movies.
I had these sunglasses, prescription sunglasses. I would get new glasses after that, but I'd keep the prescription sunglasses. After a while... it started to hurt my eyes to wear them because my prescription had changed so much.
Right.
Maybe not that much.
Sorry over the kids screaming.
So yeah, that is weird.
Today. They're so loud today.
Yeah, they know a podcast.
Oh, whatever. Our tens and tens of listeners can just deal. They can just deal with it. I have children. It's just the way it goes, and they're just hyper right now. They're one floor up. They're just crazy. So she's reading the paper, and the paper says this. Yeah, so we definitely know Tommy's on the rise. He's at the spectrum now. It says here, dynamic duo rolls on and on.
Who's Batman and who's Robin?
Yeah, and then Adrian, the classic scene here, she's reading that paper article of her husband and Tommy, and she uses that newspaper to put underneath of the birdcage where they're going to crap all over the paper.
That's a nice touch. I like that.
It's good symbology. Remember what Rocky called the birds in Rocky 1?
Like they're like flying candy.
That's right. Can I fly you home?
And he did invite her to a basketball game at the Spectrum one night too.
Yeah, I don't know. It's close to my house, so it's only 5-10 minute walk.
Yeah, I believe the Spectrum is not used anymore. I don't know if they demolished it or not, but that's a relic of the past.
Yeah. Now we've got Tommy still going through this montage, Kyle. He is now number 15 person, and when he knocks these people out, can you imagine if you saw this? They fly through the air. They're just they're literally flying off the canvas knockout punches.
Okay, I gotta stop here. I'm just reading the subtitle from, I guess, the song.
Yes.
Being sung.
Yes.
What I can see here, make 'em sweat, wet like a hot dog.
Yes. That is the lyric of the song.
What on earth is though? What the hell is with that lyric? Like, that makes no sense.
You know what? No, have you ever barbecued a hot dog? And they do perspire on the grill.
Oh, okay, that's true.
But it's still gross.
So odd, though.
It's also gross.
Yeah. Sorry, Ryan.
No, that's good.
Cut you off there.
It says here, Rocky's robot. It says Rocky's robot takes 16th victory. So now we do have a count. 16 people that Tommy's rolled through with Rocky as the manager / trainer. And this picture, the media is in on this. This picture shows Tommy Gunn as a puppet with Rocky's hand inside of Tommy acting like a puppet.
Well, yeah. I think there's a couple reasons for this, other than the obvious fact that the story writer is using this as a means to create a rivalry that otherwise wouldn't exist. Rocky is probably seen still is the legitimate champion. I was talking to you offline about this earlier. There's the idea, and especially in the heavyweight division, of the lineal champion, which is a lineage of champions where you have to beat the previous champion in order to take that lineage over.
Right.
So, for example, in modern times here, Tyson Fury, who does not currently hold the title, is regarded by many as the lineal champion, or as the champion, even though he doesn't hold the title, because he beat the previous lineal champion and has not been defeated since.
That's right.
He just lost the title because he was stripped of it. He went off the rails, gained a ton of weight, and had like alcohol problems and stuff. But now he's back and fighting, and even though he isn't wearing the belt, he's still considered by a lot of people as the champion. And I think people view Rocky as the champion this way, and just see him as manipulating Tommy to get the belt back.
Yeah, agreed.
Like living vicariously.
So Tommy Gunn has read this paper that we just saw as an audience. He is now seeing what the media is saying about him as a fighter, and it's frustrating him. It's bugging him that he's living in the shadow of Rocky.
It doesn't help that Robert had set this room up down in the basement that has the belt, the trophies. I don't know where these trophies come from. Because I don't know if Rocky won trophies per se.
Maybe he,
or whatever.
Yeah, maybe he won trophies in high school. Yeah,
boxing trophies though.
I don't know. Yeah,
Like maybe whatever. Rocky montage there. It's basically the early version of the Adrian's restaurant.
Yeah.
So not only that, Tommy is reading this article in this room that is like all about Rocky.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It's really the worst place to be reading it.
So he throws the newspaper at the heavyweight championship belt that Rocky has.
Yeah.
That's a pretty bold move on Tommy's part, and it shows you clearly where Tommy's head is at.
Yeah, no question.
And now we see here, I think this is fight 18. And he just, come on. Look at this shot here. This guy's legs are over the top rope. That's how much power Tommy's punch was.
Yeah, honestly, I implore any of you listening, go watch a Mike Tyson knockout montage. It is absurdity. It's just like this. You see people basically flying because they're getting absolutely nailed.
That's hilarious. White Tyson strikes again.
Yeah.
So Duke's very happy with the results. Sherry's there ringside with Duke, and they're watching Tommy lay out people. And Rocky is kind of oblivious. He just still sees Tommy win these matches, and he's oblivious to the circus around Tommy.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of maybe a way I can blame all of this on Mickey. Mickey, of course, was Rocky's manager, and Mickey even stated in the first film that the reason he wanted to be his manager was to protect him against what he said, all this shit that happened to me doesn't happen to you.
Yeah.
But I wonder if Mickey coddled him too much, or Rocky, as a fighter, was totally oblivious to all these things coming at him that Mickey just shut down immediately.
Right. No, I like it.
So it's like he doesn't really recognize a lot of this stuff because he never was aware of it in his own life.
No, Rocky doesn't know how to manage just yet. He's learning. I mean, and it's unfortunate that he had such an incredible talent as Tommy Gunn that he couldn't manage him properly.
The best managers are not always the best fighters or whatever. Like, for example, since we're Canadian, I'll use the hockey example. Wayne Gretzky, one of the best, if not the best, hockey player ever. Wayne Gretzky, people might argue if he's the best or not. I think most people think he's the best, though. Best hockey player ever.
Oh, sure, yeah.
The stats, specifically the stats, like no one's stats are even remotely close to his. There's really no debate there, but he took a turn at coaching. Like he had a part ownership in the Phoenix Coyotes, which are now the Arizona Coyotes.
Yeah.
And as a coach, he was nothing special. Well, his abilities as a player did not necessarily translate into coaching and managing.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's a perfect analogy, and that's what we're seeing here. And this another article has come out. It says, Rocky's gun aims at King. Ready to take on the champ? That is a clever title, Rocky's gun.
Yeah. Gun with two N's.
That's his last name, yeah. So now...
What kind of name is Union?
Well, it's in quotations. I think it's a nickname, just like Tommy Machine Gun.
Yeah.
So Tommy Gunn is his birth name in this film, but Union might... I don't know. I don't know why Union. Yeah.
That's not even a cool tagline. Like, what kind of nickname is Union? Like, it's really weird.
It is a weird name.
It's like Mason the Line Dixon.
Yeah.
Like, I know what the Mason Dixon line is, but that's still weird.
It's a weird one. Yeah, I can't wait to talk about him in season 6. All right, so now we're at fight 18-19 now. Tommy Gunn versus Jeff Langton. We see Paulie ringside watching this victory, and he's just so nonplussed by Tommy's rise here.
Yeah. That's a great shot you have in my head.
Duke and, of course, Sherry, the girlfriend, are ringside as well. And that's why Bert isn't
What do
very...
you think Sherry knows and what she doesn't know?
She is literally being paid to lead Tommy on, to distract him, to keep him close to Duke. Absolutely. She's basically...
Yeah, I think so, too. She's a prostitute, basically.
Yes, she is. I hate to say it, but she's being paid. Duke is paying her to have sex with Tommy. However you want to cut it.
Yeah. You gotta put some hustle behind his muscle.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I've forgotten there was 2 Tommy montages.
I'd like to actually count the number of knockouts to see how that compares to the number. Like, I don't expect there to be the exact same number. I just want to make sure there's not more knockouts than the actual number itself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's probably pretty close. So Paulie's now talking behind Rocky. He goes, "There's your boat, Rock."
There's your boat, Rock.
What boat?
The one that's sinking.
And he's like, "What boat? The one that's sinking." Because now we see this victory that just took place. And unlike all the other victories that took place in the ring, Rocky and Paulie are not a part of this victory group shot.
Yeah, this hurts you don't even watch. I know people like this, like Duke and like these people, who are just very socially savvy and can just muscle their way into situations and kind of have those fake smiles on their face, like everything's just fine and they're not like f***ing someone over. It really gets to me.
No, and that's what's happening here. And we have this it's probably the last magazine cutout, I think. It says, "When will he get a title shot?" And it's the first time that it doesn't mention Rocky. It just says Tommy Gunn. But this is a complete call out.
Oh yeah.
But this is a complete call out to Rocky, saying, "Hey, Rocky, when does he get his title shot?"
And I don't think it's too unrealistic to say in the film that Duke has probably directing the writers of these magazines to say these specific things. Like, he's like, here's some cash or whatever. Or here you can bang this redhead that Tommy's banging. Just write this here. Like, put this slant on it. Like, I want to influence this. Like, It wouldn't surprise me.
No, not at all. Now we see a scene here of Merlin showing Tommy a great and spacious mansion building. And Tommy...
That is quite the way to describe that, Ryan.
And Tommy is just enamored by the luxury house. He's like, whoa, they make houses like this?
Has that ever happened to you before? If you've gone to someone's house that is just way beyond what you've ever experienced before, like say when you were a kid or something like that?
Yeah, but you know what? It doesn't appeal to me. Big houses, even if I was a millionaire, Kyle, I don't think I would have a huge house.
For example, when I was a kid, I was probably like lower middle class to maybe like kind of upper working class. And so it's like I did not live in a big house at all, but I wasn't impoverished or anything.
Right.
But we went to some people's house, and these people, they had a pool in their house. It was kind of like a house Rocky would have lived in, like a mansion, like a legitimate mansion.
Right.
And as a kid, I had no idea these things like really existed in real life anywhere close to me. And it was just like shocking that like people actually lived like that. It was a real eye opener. Tommy probably came from a sucky home in Oklahoma. He moves to a sucky part of Philadelphia and lives in Rocky's place, which is not like the worst place in the world, but it's a pretty working class, normal kind of place.
Yeah.
And then he walks into this area that might as well be Mars.
Yeah. And that's what it's designed to do. Merlin is showing Tommy, hey, this is what's awaiting for you if and when you get that title shot with Union and Kane.
Yeah. Yeah, it's when you get hooked on and I don't blame you if you edit this out, but you get hooked on some pussy and then see like a big house like this. Like I can see as a young man how you could really, you get some flashy cars and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
it wouldn't take much to manipulate.
Oh no, no. So now Duke has just said,
Tommy Gunn at the top. You come with the Duke, you can get the kind of payday fights Balboa could only dream about. To the victor goes the spoil.
You hang out with the Duke, you're going to get this car, you're going to get this, everything that Balboa could only dream about giving you. All right, so we're going to stop it there. This montage keeps going, so we're gonna stop it there because we're hitting the hour mark. We'll finish it up. I don't know if it's going to be you or not. I just want to say again that Ruben is camping. I invited him first. Well, not invited him. I said, hey, can you record this weekend, brother? He LOL'd back. He goes, sorry, I'm camping. So Ruben gives his love and supports Kyle coming on the show to fill in. Kyle, thank you so much again for coming on the show and talking about the rise, the further rise, the continuing rise of Tommy Machine Gun towards the Union Kane Championship.
Well, thanks, Ryan. And do you think Ruben hears it?
Here's what, these episodes?
No, the parade. It's going by. The parade of opportunity.
He doesn't care. He does not care. He looks at
You
this.
can't sway Ruben with all this stuff.
No. I think Ruben's fine. I don't think. Yeah, I think he's fine. And I'll say again for our listeners, if you like Ruben, as I do, of course, and you want to hear more of Ruben and Ryan talking about stuff on a podcast, check out our other show called The Worst of the Best Podcast, where Ruben and I discuss a variety of topics on a pretty regular basis. We got about 61 episodes already that we cover all pop culture, food, you name it, everything from conspiracy theories to quite a variety of topics we talk about. We pick what we feel is the worst from those best of lists on those variety of topics. I think it's a lot of fun. It's a fun show to do with Ruben. So check that out. Again, give us a review on iTunes or come on Facebook and leave us a recommendation there that your friends and family can see. Kyle, do you want to take us out?
Oh, Ryan, could I plug something real quick?
Please. You know what? It's funny. I was going to ask you if you had anything to plug, but
I always say no.
Yeah.
I have one thing I want to plug.
Please, plug away.
All right, so listeners, are you having financial problems? If you are, you might be interested in, or if you're not, you might be interested in my blog that I do. It's a blog about finances and budgeting and things like that. It has nothing to do with Rocky, so if 0 people from here click on the blog, I totally understand. But it's called More in the Jar, and it's a WordPress site, so moreinthejar.wordpress.com.
I'll put that link in this description of this episode, Kyle. That's great. No, absolutely. And I think Rocky could have probably used your financial advice before they gave everything to that power of attorney.
Damn straight. I would never have signed that. If I was managing Rocky stuff, he'd still be in a big mansion.
All my life, I did take a freaking time.
Paulie, it's okay, buddy. I got you. I don't blame Paulie. I know we talked this before, but he's good.
He's all right. All right, brother. Thank you again. Do you want to take us out?
Ding, ding.